please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Very good morning. Welcome to Chartbusters, a show we're going to highlight all the buzzing stocks of the day. Also give you some expert advice on how you can capitalize and trade, all that and more in the next half hour. I'm Nigel D'Souza, and with me as always, Mangalam Malu. Well, Mangalam, headline index taking a bit of a breather, but yet you have stocks that are giving you 5 to around 10%, and that would mean the small cap and the mid cap space are doing very, very well. So I've not got the color wrong. It's green.
You haven't got the color wrong, and the markets are in the pink of the health. So technically, I haven't got the color wrong. So the mid caps, yes, they're doing well, undoing the 2 days of underperformance that we saw there. Again, the frontline indices, remember, we are at record highs, so they are pausing for a bit of a breath. But first up, all the top stories that we're tracking at this point in time. In key earnings today, TCS and IndusInd Bank will report this third quarter numbers today. TCS expected to report muted revenue growth, while a CNBC-TV18 poll estimates loan growth between 23 to 25% for IndusInd in the third quarter.
And from the mid-cap space, Shree Cement as well as Bajaj Corp will report their third quarter earnings today. Additionally, Bajaj Corp surges in trade after Macquarie initiated coverage with an outperform rating. They are pegging their target price at 637 rupees per share.
Orient Paper trades its consumer electric business today. The company had announced demerger to unlock shareholder value by hiving off its subsidiary into a wholly owned subsidiary, Orient Electric.
And GE Power surges over 5% on the back of an order win worth nearly around 818 crore rupees from Navayuga Engineering Company Limited. All right, then, so plenty of stocks moving around from the broader markets as we speak. Keep an eye out on a couple of them. I think Delta Corp should come up for you on the screen. Suddenly that one as well is spiking up in the last few minutes. So keep an eye out on that one. Whoopsie daisy. Look at Subros. I think it makes sense to pull out that chart. For this year, we're just at the start of 2018, and Subros has given you nearly around a 40% return. Just take a look at the intraday chart over there. That stock is spiking up. It's moving so well as we speak. So that one should be in focus. Even Godrej Properties, I think our ticker team was telling us about that one. That moves higher, as well as GNA Axles. That comes out with its set of numbers, I think, rather early. It should be out by next week or so. It's been a big outperformer. And in fact, the street is, I think, bracing itself for a good set of numbers. The management had joined us on this show itself at the end of quarter 2. They said quarter 3 is going to be very, very good. That stock spikes up as well. So a whole host of mid-cap stocks are moving up as we speak. But how do you trade the index? Ashwini Gujral is with us. Hi Ashwini, good morning. 10,625 approximately on the Nifty. Well, you had the Nifty Bank that's underperforming again. What's the trade there?
See, today on the Nifty, the premium is back to 11 points. And that for me is filling gas into the car before moving. For the last many days, we were going on empty tank. So my sense is that we are now long on Bank Nifty on this decline, and maybe by end of the day, the entire market picks up and you go towards the higher end of the range, which is probably 20-30 points here from this level on the Nifty, and maybe 100 odd points on the Bank Nifty. So that is possible. Hardly 4 banks are in the negative, and that's why the banks are looking negative. Just HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank moving back into the green should take Bank Nifty back into the green. The idea is that this is the lower end of the range. The market does not seem to be breaking down. Hence, if you can't break down one side, you tend to go to the other side. Lots of mid caps are doing well, and for the moment, I think Jubilant Life is a buy with a stop of 800, target of 865. Mindtree is a buy with a stop of 628, target of 650. And IDFC Bank is a buy with a stop of 64, target of 72.
Ashwini, tough to give just 3 stocks, right? With the kind of mid caps that are doing well. GSFC is the one that should come up for you. That one too has moved to the high point of the day. We have Canfin Homes, which has moved to the high point of the day, and also Torrent Power. GSFC, any of these stocks from the F&O space?
See, particularly financials, they had a bad start, but almost all NBFCs are now coming back fairly strongly. I think Canfin Home probably has bottomed out, It's gone through a fairly large correction, and now with a 460 type of stop, at some point it should get back toward its 200-day moving average, which is 530, 535. A small stock which people may be interested in is Morpen Lab, which is now up 6%, completing a correction. So there are n number of stocks which are going up as we speak. Coffee Day has again started moving. It's now moving higher. So once you get onto a moving train, you don't need to get off very easily.
Okay, moving train, not Ashwini talking a lot of transport actually. He's talking about gas filling before cars and all of that, and now talking about trains. But the one train that has moved lower right now is Bitcoin, tumbled around 12%. And that's because we understand South Korea has readied a bill to ban trading. Well, in an exclusive, CNBC exclusive, the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, warns against the growing global fascination with cryptocurrencies in general, and Bitcoin in particular, predicting that this bubble would burst.
In terms of cryptocurrencies generally, I can say almost with certainty that they will come to a bad ending. Now, when it happens or how or anything else, I don't know. But I know this, if I could buy long-term puts, if I could buy a 5-year put on every one of the cryptocurrencies, I'd be glad to do it, but I would never short a dime's worth.
Have you thought about trading the futures to take a negative position on Bitcoin?
No.
You would not do that?
No. There's no reason. I get into enough trouble with things I think I know something about. Why in the world should I take a long or short position in something I don't know anything about? So, we don't have to know what cocoa beans are going to do or cryptocurrencies. We just have to focus on 8 or 10 stocks, businesses basically, that we think are decent businesses.
All right, then, before we slip into a short break, just pull up the intraday chart of GMR. That stock has suddenly moved towards the low point of the day, so keep an eye on that one. But otherwise, the screen is really buzzing around. We have IDFC that's moved to the high point of the day. South Indian Bank, well, it was under pressure in the last couple of days. It had come off, the highs that we saw on the results day. In fact, that is moving higher as well. And Canfin Homes as well is moving quite well in the last few minutes. So pull up the intraday chart with them. And Sun TV as well continues its good move. That stock, I remember, started off in the red. Now it's moved into the green. It's recovered more than 1.5% from the low point of the day. So keep an eye on that one.
Well, coffee day around this time of the day keeps moving. In fact, yesterday crossed the IPO price as well. And now it's recovered nearly 8% from the low point of the day, up around 3%. So let's keep an eye out on that. And a lot of the media stocks, they've been buzzing around. Balaji Tele, you spoke about Sun TV before going into the break. Yeah. Balaji Tele has moved to the high point of the day. We have the likes of Hathway Cable as well as ENIL, the radio guys, also moving to the high point of the day. But it's the earnings season, a whole host of earnings expected through the day. Let's start with one of the biggest one, tech major TCS. Anisha, what are the key expectations this time around?
It's actually a seasonally weak quarter, so the expectations are a bit muted, but the stock movement is actually telling you something else. The street is factoring in a lot more. Let's see whether the company is able to live up to that expectation or not. But in terms of the numbers, I'm expecting a rupee revenue growth of 1.4%, a dollar revenue growth of around 0.9%. The profit is expected to remain flat because the other income is expected to come down a bit. But the positive surprise can actually come in on the EBIT margin front, because that is where we are expecting an expansion of 70 basis points to come in at 25.7%. That because there'll be a bit of normalization when it comes to the wage hikes, as well as operational efficiencies should flow into this quarter, and that's why we're expecting that number. Keep an eye out on the margin also, because the company has given a long-term guidance of 26 to 28%, but they're still below that 26% mark. So let's see whether they inch closer to that or not. In terms of constant currency, we're working with a number of 1.1%. Now remember, for TCS, they have been talking about a turnaround being seen in retail, but they also mentioned Q3 seasonally weak, so don't expect much from that. PFSI, they haven't been too gung about that. They have been saying that they don't know whether it has bottomed out or not. So commentary on that will be very important. Commentary becomes also important because this is beginning of 2018 and the budget of the clients get decided. So any word coming on that will be important. They recently signed some big deals in the insurance space, and that was looking up. So a word on that, and other large deals as well. Lastly, just keep an eye out as far as the realization is concerned, because that has been coming off in the last couple of quarters, and the street, it looks like, is probably waiting to hear something on the restructuring front, because all of the Tata Group companies were buzzing yesterday. So let's see if we hear anything else on that front or not. But overall, if you look at seasonally and if you go by the analyst expectations, they look a tad bit muted. Back to you.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Anisha. So that's about TCS. Remember, we have a media briefing later today at around 5 p.m. Today. But let's move on to the next big earnings then that we're going to be focusing on. That's going to be IndusInd Bank. Abhishek's with us with the key expectations. And Abhishek, that'll be out in market hours, isn't it?
Well, it'll come at around 1:45 p.m. Nigel. So that is when they'll address the press and they'll announce the results. The key thing to watch will be the loan growth. Between 23 to 25% will be very positive. Remember that Ashok Leyland had a strong Q3 wherein their CV sales grew by 42% on a YOY basis. And this CV portfolio actually forms 17.5% of the total loan book, and it is a high yielding book. So net interest margin above 3.8% will be positive. Last quarter it was at 4%. So gross NPA below 1.15% will be very positive. Last quarter it was at 1.08%. Credit cost, that is provision on NPA divided by advance ratio, on a quarterly basis below 20 basis point will be very positive. Last quarter it was at 17 basis point. Our poll suggests an NII growth of 22%. Now that is the lowest growth in last multiple quarters, while net profit to grow at 24%. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Abhishek. But another stock in focus as far as results are concerned from the mid-cap space, we have Bajaj Corp, the ones we know more popularly as the guys who make the Bajaj almond hair oil. Those guys reporting numbers, the stock up 4% ahead of numbers. So what we really need to know as far as Bajaj Corp's numbers are concerned, we have Kotak's estimates. They believe a 15% revenue growth is expected. EBITDA is likely to grow by about 5.5%. Margins will come off because of the company's increased focus on distribution, and the net profit likely to grow just by about 3.5%. Remember, the stock in the FMCG space has been an underperformer, has gained traction just in the last couple of months because the sector itself was buzzing. The most important part, remember, will be the almond drop volume growth. Last quarter, we saw some signs of recovery after practically declines coming in the previous two years as far as their market share and volume growth is concerned too. So we'll watch out for that. And interestingly, the brokerages, they are positive on Bajaj Corp despite the company not doing anything, and that's because of the valuations. The company trades at 26 times FY19 versus the sector, which can trade at around 38 to 40 times. And Macquarie, incidentally, has initiated coverage just on the day of the results, saying that the company is going to go ahead and focus on its cash cow business, and it trades at a 40% discount to the sector. The big question that Macquarie asks is it the next Marico? Well, that is a big comparison, but let's see what happens. But let's move on from the big hair oil space to the cement space. Nigel, Shree Cement out with their Q3 earnings today, rather early.
Well, I've been tracking the cement space for more than half a decade, and in fact, this is the first time that I'm seeing Shree Cement is coming out there, and they're going to be giving their numbers first. And in fact, they're giving their numbers so early as well in the earnings season. But let's focus on the numbers first. The numbers look strong. It'll be coming on a low base, demonetization effect in the base year. So these numbers will look good on a year-on-year basis. Top line, it's going to be led by strong volumes, strong realizations as well. Though higher input costs, that's something that could hurt the margins a tad bit. In terms of top line, 24% growth is what we are working with. The volumes are expected to grow by roughly around 10%, should come in at around 5.4 million tons. Why is that? Favorable base, the expansions in East India, that's coming on stream, and they're gaining more market share in East India. So that's what will help them. What will not help them is, in fact, sand shortages in some parts of where they operate. That's Bihar as well as Rajasthan. That's what could hamper them a bit in terms of that volume growth. But realizations will be good on a year-on-year basis. Sequentially could be marginally lower, but on a year-on-year basis, it should be up by close to around 10%. It's going to be a battle between the higher realizations and higher volumes versus what exactly is the cost in terms of their energy costs could go up, because they use petcoke, highest dependence on petcoke. We know that petcoke prices have moved up, and in the middle of last quarter, there was a part petcoke ban as well. So that's something that will offset some part of the gain that we're seeing on the top line. The margins could compress by around 150-200 basis points, very, very approximately. And in terms of the power business, well, we only have Motilal. They have said that, in fact, they're expecting roughly around 8 crores in terms of an EBITDA number for the past quarter. The profit number that we're working with is around 265 crores, though we always focus on the operating profit for Shree Cement. But is there something more in store? Can Shree Cement announce something more? We don't know, but in fact, just putting the numbers in order. The current grinding capacity is up for you on the screen. Their clinker capacity as well. They're looking at, increasing both those two. and that's by around FY19, FY20. The numbers are up for you on the screen. So broadly, there'll be a 40 million ton plant, 40 million ton capacity by FY20. Can they fund any kind of inorganic growth? Yes, they can. The market capitalization is around 68,000 crores approximately. They have cash to the tune of roughly around 4,000 crores. At the halfway mark, in fact, you had their other income that was nearly around 200 crores, telling you that 4,000 crores is what they should be having. And in terms of, what is the EBITDA looking at, like going ahead, 2,751 crores and around 3,000 crores. That's in fact the consensus EBITDA number we can work with. So let's wait by whether in fact it's only the numbers, whether there's some more spice in store. In fact, we spoke to the management in the second half of last year and we said, is there something more happening? Let's hear out what the management told us in the second half of 2017.
Very, very preliminary, not even looking at. Offers come, we have to analyze, and not only Gulf, we will look at many places. Company has to grow, and definitely India is a better growing place. We will like to do it in India. There are many rumors that we are going out, this, that. I don't know much about it. People can take so many meanings out of my going out that I can't comment.
All right, can't comment. That is Mr. Bangur from Shree Cement. Let's see what they go ahead and do in these with these numbers, or is there more to just the numbers, more to the company than just the numbers? Let's take a short break, come back, we'll focus on the markets.
More or less flattish as we speak, so that's quite interesting. Bharti Airtel has spiked up from the low point of the day, so keep an eye out on that one. And if you pull up the intraday chart, the Nifty Bank as well has recovered close to around 50 points from the low point of the day. Kotak Mahindra Bank, that's one of the banks that in fact have looked quite good in the last few minutes. So just pull up the intraday chart. Nifty Bank recovers from the low point of the day. Kotak Mahindra Bank fighting for the Nifty as we speak. Well, we have some news. The UK regulator audited Glenmark's Baddi unit. And in fact, I think they've got the UK regulator nod for dry powder inhaler unit in Baddi. So yesterday as well, we had a couple of some good news coming in there. The management had spoken at the JPM conference, and they said that they are expecting their PBT margins to go above that 20%. That is by 2021. So keep an eye on that stock. I think in the last few days, it's gained as well. So that's good news coming in from there. But a quick check on the option space then. It appears the bulls, they are confident they can defend the 10,600 mark as well as the 10,500 mark, because both those two are very, very active today. 10,500 put has added nearly around 6 lakh shares. The 10,600 put, in fact, that's more active. That's added roughly around 6.5 lakh shares. So keep an eye on that one. But Mangalam, it's weekly expiry. So Nifty bank options is what we're looking at, because they'll expire today, some of those options.
There you have it, Nigel. We're at 25,600 for the Nifty bank, and that call earlier in the day, it was, it had close to around 10 lakh shares in open interest. That open interest is coming down to about just 7.9 lakh. And as the Nifty bank is moving higher, it will be interesting to see whether these call writers are going ahead and running for cover or not. 25,650 will be important as far as the Nifty bank is concerned. With that, we'll wrap up on Chartbusters, but you stay tuned to CNBC-TV18.